This is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We're on Xbox Series X taking a look at the game. So on the console we get two options here. We get a performance mode, which is giving us a frame rate of 60 FPS, and the dynamic resolution added in the range of 1080p to 1440p. Then there is a normal mode, which is a non-performance mode in brackets. For some reason it notes that. Post-processing has been increased to 4K, dynamic resolution in the range of 1512 to 2160p. So those are our two options. We do have HDR support in the game. I also want to add that some stutters seem to be present during the open world exploration. It's not the biggest deal, but it might be something that you notice while playing. And I am joined by my friend here.
Hey there, this is Mitchell.
And we're going to be talking about the game. He's sort of my expert on it because I really don't have time to dig into the game. I've played a bit of it, and now I have to re-record it so that we can get footage for this. But anyways, so tell us generally the gist of the story. Where do we find our character? What's going on in this?
Yeah, so you're playing as Cal Kestis. It is a completely solo single-player game. Cal Kestis is a former Jedi Padawan who survived the Purge of the Jedi that you see at the end of Revenge of the Sith from the clones and Sidious taking over. And it takes place between 5 and 10 years after the fall of the Jedi Order. So you're basically found as a junk scrapper on a random planet in the middle of in the far out reaches of the galaxy, basically hiding from the Imperials who are still hunting Jedi, especially the Inquisitors, who act as a major enemy force in the game.
Okay, so with this, we obviously just mentioned the two modes. This has just been optimized for Series X, and I understand you played a little bit of it. Tell us what's new, what are the big changes you're seeing?
Right now, and again, the Series X optimization just came in recently, so I haven't played as much as I've wanted to, but man, does it look pretty, and stuff is going smooth. Load times have definitely decreased, I found, and load times were never a big issue before, in my opinion, but definitely decreased. One thing I'm going to take extra note on is that my lightsaber looks vivid. It was awesome igniting that thing for the first time when I was playing earlier. Another thing is when in the very first mission, at one point you come up and you get to see a whole bunch of Republic ships being scrapped in a nice big wide landscape, and it was just beautiful. Like, I cannot believe how nice this game looks right now, and it already looked nice before.
That's great. So obviously this opening sequence is actually mostly what I played a good hour or so into it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, taking in the sights, the scenes. You know, would you say it's fairly authentic to the Star Wars era? What sort of planets do you go to? Like, what places do we get to explore in this?
I'm trying to remember all the different names. I'm always difficult with the Star Wars planet names, unfortunately.
So many of them.
There's so many of them. You're on a scrapper planet to begin. I'm apologize. I'm gonna butcher names and not be able to mention them, so I'm just not gonna say the names themselves. The kind of big planets that you do end up on, though, Kashyyyk is a major area for a while. You get to end up on a few former Clone Wars battle zones that were planets the Separatists and the clones were fighting over. Another big one is the Night Sisters home planet, which is also the home planet of Darth Maul. The Night Sisters, if you ever watch the Clone Wars, are a major enemy or friend, depending on who you ask. And being able to be on that planet is actually one of my favorite areas as well, especially the enemies that you find there. Yeah, and I think the game does a very good job of showing you the whole, or a good portion of the galaxy, even though there's so much to explore. You get to see quite a bit of cool things just in this little area.
Great. So I actually went up and searched the name. I think Braca is
yes.
It's the scrapyard area, which is fine there. Great. So how does the combat system work? You know, being a Jedi, what sort of abilities or moves and skills do you have while you're playing?
Yeah, so in Fallen Order, one big thing is meditation. So meditation is an area where you can go and upgrade yourself. It works if you've ever played the Dark Souls franchise. It actually works very similar to that. That when you sit down and you meditate, it actually respawns all the enemies around you, but you regain all of your health and any stims, which stims replenish your health. And it's a very good setup, I find, and it gives a small little challenge to the game, but it's quite fun. Combat-wise, I don't want to go into too many spoilers in terms of the lightsaber effects. Obviously the lightsaber is your main weapon. You don't really use guns in this game, but there is a lot of awesome combat moves, and you can upgrade very similar to almost any melee combat game where you can upgrade. Hey, I'm going with a strong attack, I'm going with a light attack, I'm going with slam attacks where I'm jumping from up in the air, I'm going with lightsaber throws, like stuff like that. But you have to upgrade as you go along.
Okay, so I understand this is, somewhat adventure based. You might be able to compare it just movement wise somewhat to like Tomb Raider a little bit. Tell us a bit how you get through the environment. Are there any sort of like parkour-esque elements, and how do you travel through the worlds you visit?
Yeah, the game is it actually kind of sits as a puzzle game at times. Which again, if you're a fan of games like Portal or the Batman Arkham series, I found that it was very reminiscent to those types of games where you have to figure out how to move around and solve mini problems throughout the level. So that could be things like using the Force to take down a large structure that then creates a bridge, something simple like that, or using your lightsaber to actually heat up a piece of ice that is blocking your way. And while saying that, you also have awesome mechanics such as wall running is a very common thing. You can jump incredibly high as you level up more, and your powers get stronger as you go along as Cal Kestis becomes more from Padawan to Jedi. The parkour aspects, as you mentioned, it's definitely something that is very easy to do, and the game makes you feel like you're doing something much more complicated despite pressing a single button.
Okay, so I did see online that a lot of people mention certain elements of backtracking is kind of annoying to go and look for like collectibles and stuff. What do you think about the game? Is it generally linear? Is it give you some little open world areas? What's going on there?
I would say that backtracking is a major part, especially in certain areas. The Night Sister homeworld, again, you actually go there, I want to say in the third or fourth mission. Same with Kashyyyk is the second or third mission, and then you come back there in the seventh or eighth mission again to both those different planets. So backtracking is a major part, but even though you are going to some of the same areas, you're fighting brand new enemies, you're finding new stuff, and because you are now more powerful, you now have the ability to unlock bigger areas, and the maps are quite big, despite there only being, I think there's only five or six levels total, 5 or 6 planets total, sorry. The maps themselves are so large that even when you come back later on, in my opinion, it feels like you are exploring somewhere new to an extent. So I never had an issue with the backtracking, especially as I really enjoy collecting collectibles when they help my character and give my character like the new suit or the new BD1 skin, which BD1 is your little companion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also stuff that doesn't really impact the gameplay. Like you're not going to be a better player because of it, but I like to look cool.
Oh, that's totally fair. So, when you're playing the game, I understand you're now going through New Game Plus. Could you tell us a bit about what do you do afterwards in this mode?
Mm-hmm. So beat the game, and I had the option to go back and play the game a little, like keep playing the game a little bit more. I chose to go into New Game Plus immediately instead of going for any of the collectibles, which I actually regret doing because I should have gone for those collectibles. But while saying that, it basically resets the game down to its to the beginning, but you're keeping your stats, you're keeping the lightsaber, which you can design your own lightsaber, you're keeping your all the collectibles you've already found, but it is adding enemies are becoming more numerous, they're becoming harder to fight, and they're upgrading in terms of certain enemies have different levels to them. Like you can be fighting a Imperial Trooper that's only in the white armor, or a New Game Plus, that same Imperial Trooper is now in red armor, and which basically signifies that they're a harder enemy, or black armor. Sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about the game in general. I understand you did quite enjoy playing it. What are your general thoughts on the overall experience, the quality of the game, and then also maybe like a moment or two that kind of stuck out to you as being really cool moments in the experience?
Okay. Yeah. So gameplay wise, I love the gameplay. I felt powerful the whole time, even though I was playing on the second hardest difficulty. I always felt like I was enjoying it, and the challenges were fun. The boss battles are phenomenal. I loved because most of them have multiple phases, so you had to keep figuring out how to do this or how to do that, and if you died, you came back trying to be like, okay, why did I die in this? Or if you came to an area that you found was very hard, you would come back and level up. I love the environments. I love the characters. Like it was, the story was awesome. I think the only thing that I ever came across that I wasn't a fan of is a minor, really annoying prison mission that you do in about halfway through the game, and it really didn't serve any plot to the story, but it's just there. And then I found that sometimes textures would, even though the game is quite beautiful as a general overview, individual textures can sometimes feel very plain and very almost like early 2000s graphics like, and especially with textures coming in and out. That was definitely a bit of an annoyance with me. In terms of like one or two moments though that I really enjoyed, in the very beginning of the game again that I mentioned earlier, when you first see the like the open landscape and you're seeing like these Republic ships being scrapped, but you're in an Imperial era. That was just so cool to me. I was sitting there and I just stand there for a couple minutes and just look. I was like, oh man, like look at that ship over there. Oh, look at those ATSTs down there. Like it was so cool. And then without giving spoilers, the final boss battle of the game is like chilling. Like it is chilling, and it is something that if you literally play the game just for the final boss battle, it in my opinion was so worth it. I literally I didn't know it was going to come, and then it happened, and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. So
Oh, that sounds pretty great. So would you say, out of the Star Wars games we've had as of recent, this is one of the, better options out there?
for somebody who likes single player, yes. If you like multiplayer stuff, there's nothing for you in multiplayer here. The game itself isn't super long. I would probably get it as a sale or through Game Pass, which I believe it is available on Game Pass right now.
Game Pass through EA Play, yeah.
Perfect. So I would get it in those types of aspects. But if you like single player and if you like those collectible missions and you like kind of puzzles and stuff, it is definitely a fun game. I didn't actually know anything about it. I just knew it was Star Wars, and I like Star Wars a lot. And when I went in, I was like happily surprised because I'm a big Dark Souls fan. I'm a big Arkham fan, like Batman Arkham, and it definitely took a lot from those games. So I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Great. So, like, looking past this title, would you like to see smaller, maybe stories like they did with The Force Unleashed back in the day that maybe aren't canon and do little misadventures? Or would you maybe like to see a full sequel, or maybe you'd like to see actual story expansion to this one? What kind of extra content would you like them to explore?
I would have loved if they dropped an actual good expansion for this, like a story expansion. To my knowledge, they didn't, and I don't believe that there is any direct plans for it. Although I could be mistaken on that. I would love to see a sequel on this, and the game did, and again, without giving spoilers, the game did do a good job with keeping the story for the most part wrapped up. There were some minor loose threads where it was like, hey, we could maybe keep going with something here, while saying that it. I would love to see a sequel. I would love to see Cal Kestis again, and the entire character arc. Like the characters in this game were so interesting to see that it would be cool to just see them come back in some other form of media, even if we don't get a sequel game. Like if they showed up in a TV show, like the plethora of TV shows that are coming out in the
Disney
next little bit. Yeah, if they showed up in a movie. Like if I turn around and I saw Cal Kestis as like an older person in like Mandalorian, I would probably sit there with my mind blown. So
Gotta get that connectivity going on there in the Star Wars universe these days, right?
exactly. So
I think at that point we're basically wrapped up on questions and stuff and talking about this. Anything else you want to mention about the game? Just like a summary overview, I guess, of your thoughts on it?
the only thing that I think I would like to mention otherwise is that, other than what I've already said, is that if you play it for no other reason than to just play it for the droid companion BD1, that droid is just adorable. Like that droid is it's like a dog and a cat rolled in one that sits on your shoulder, and I love him so much. Or her. I don't know. It's a droid.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for dropping by.
Thank you.